Okay, so you're Graham from the Friends of Birkenhead Park. So you're a voluntary organisation around the park. So you just want to tell us a bit what you do and what you're doing this year and what you're looking for from other volunteers.
Well, I'll tell you about the history. It was originally set up in 1976 when they were worried about the state of the park and the state of the Swiss Bridge. And so for European Architectural Heritage Year, which was in 1975, the Friends got established in order to try and help control development around the park, and also to be, if you like, a friend of the park, to make the case to the council as then was. And essentially we do the similar things at the moment. But since the restoration of the park in the early 2000s, we've got volunteers who actually do work on the park on a Wednesday and on Saturdays, things like litter picking, and then also doing landscape maintenance, getting rid of brambles, digging them up where they're in the wrong place, taking out self-sown ash trees, and really to open up views within the park, to make the park more three-dimensional. And so, for instance, we've been working over the winter time on a mound close to the lower lake, in which we opened up a view from Park Drive to the Roman boathouse. And this means that you aren't so enclosed in, that you can get views, and then you get channeled in underneath trees on the pathways, and then you open out to other views. And so we're trying to re-engage the park in that sort of way, because it became quite overgrown after COVID, or during the lockdowns from COVID.
Yeah. So famously, the world's first publicly funded park, and the word publicly funded is important in that one. But since then, it's been through a lot, even through the war years and things like that. Wasn't it used a lot for allotments as well in the war as well and things like
yes,
that? And I know was there a Super Trooper, one of the searchlights based in the park in the war as well?
Yes, that's right. I mean, the park did change during the war. There were allotments in the Second World War, mainly in the upper park. But during the First World War, there were also allotments on the Boothby ground and further around, and this was obviously essential for helping to feed the nation because of the constrictions of the submarines on food imports. Yes, and I mean, after the war, there were sort of changes made, and in fact, there are changes made to the park, throughout the decades, following fashion. There were a couple of bandstands at different times as well, music bandstands. The original bandstand was the Roman boathouse, and you would have, say, a small string quartet, and you could get the sound drifting across the lower lake. But times have changed, and there is a very interesting stone floor created of pebbles by a woman, Maggie Howarth, who's actually of international renown. So if people don't know about that, it is of interest in coming to the park to see the Roman boathouse.
Yeah. So going on to this year, you're always looking for volunteers to come along and help. And so what would the volunteers be doing?
Well, the volunteers have been doing the landscape management. There's also the Edward Kemp Community Garden, which is on the periphery of the park, and that's used as a garden to enable groups of charity organisations, social groups, to grow vegetables, to learn how to grow them, to harvest them, and then also at the same time to understand how to cook them. And this is all for the benefit of health. You're getting good food, you're learning how to cook it, and also just the sheer act of growing it, digging the ground and everything else is obviously to both physical health and then also the mental health, because you've got the birds and the trees around about, communing with nature. It's a really good place for that.
That's great. So how can they get in touch with you? How can any volunteers want get in touch with you if you wanted to join?
Well, we have a leaflet here for the Friends of Birkenhead Park.
Yeah.
But if people want to join, they can email admin@fbp.org.uk.
Okay.
And that's something
great.
that people can do and join up and do volunteer work.
I've also got Friends of Birkenhead Park on Facebook.
Yes, on Facebook,
Yeah.
and then also on Twitter.
On Twitter.
Yeah.
So people can follow along on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the other thing I'd like to say is that Friends do other things. There's a volunteer who takes health walks around the park on Mondays, so that people are able to get out in a group, social chat. Probably about 10 to 15 people most Mondays.
Okay.
And there's also people doing litter picking, which is very important, and also there's the landscape management.
General maintenance as well.
Well, yes, general maintenance, and just being a friend to the park to make it look good for visitors coming there.
Yeah. Well, great for thanks for talking to us.
Okay, thank you.